The shadows cast by the smoke of the Amazon as it burns have wrapped their way right around the world. European leaders today expressing their distress, led by the French President Emmanuel Macron. "Our house is burning," literally, he tweeted out. "The Amazon rainforest, the lungs which produce 20% of our oxygen, is on fire." Macron wants it to top the G7 summit he's hosting this weekend. France has also accused the Brazilian president, Jair Bolsonaro, of lying by playing down climate change concerns. And along with Ireland, France is also threatening to veto a major trade deal in the works between the EU and a group of Latin American countries, including Brazil. But the European Commission argues that signing the trade deal will bind Brazil to the Paris Accord on climate.
That's why we do welcome President Macron's intention to discuss this issue during the G7 meeting. The sense of urgency is indeed warranted.
That sense of urgency was reflected in European capitals today by protesters outside Brazilian embassies in Paris, Madrid, and here in London.
We've known that we have a climate emergency for many years. Politicians have said a lot of words, but action hasn't been taken.
They want that to change, especially with the summit in France.
But the wild card at the G7 summit, of course, will be the U.S. President Donald Trump, climate change doubter and perceived ally of the Brazilian president.
That could make things tricky for the British Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, who's backing Macron.
One of the things I'm going to be raising at the G7 is the horrific loss of habitats and species around the world.
But analysts say Johnson will also be eager to stay on Donald Trump's good side to keep the possibility of a post-Brexit trade deal with the United States alive.
He will want to be seen having an excellent relationship with Donald Trump, but I'm not sure how effective that is. And he has to balance that against the fact that Trump is very unpopular in the UK as well.
And with the images from the Amazon burning themselves onto the world's conscience, the pressure on the G7 leaders to find a way through and act has grown. Margaret Evans, CBC News, London.
In the search for why this fire crisis is happening, blame has zeroed in on two factors: deforestation and the president. An environmental watchdog group says the pace of deforestation in the Amazon has jumped 20% in the last 9 months. One reason, illegal logging. Another, fires are sometimes set to clear land for farming, and they can get out of control. Bolsonaro has spoken in favor in the past of expanding mining and farming in the Amazon, and he's tried to blame the fires on sabotage by environmental groups. So much of what drew the attention to this story initially was the horror of the pictures being shared online. Images like these, walls of flames, towers of smoke pouring out of lush green forest. Among those sharing these pictures on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, celebrities and politicians. The problem is not a single one of them is from the current Amazon fires. Kaylee Rogers keeps an eye on disinformation and misinformation for us. I think we'll see a lot of you in the run-up to the election. Did not expect we'd be talking about the Amazon, but what is wrong with these photos?
Well, there's a couple of things. Some of these are images of fires that took place in other places in the world, in Europe, in North America. Other ones really do show fires in the Amazon, but they're not these fires happening right now. One in particular was shared by Leonardo DiCaprio. It was also shared by Emmanuel Macron, retweeted by Justin Trudeau, really making the rounds online. This particular image does show a fire in the Amazon, but it's really old. I found it online as old as 2012, and the photographer who took the photo actually died in 2003. So it's at least 16 years old, if not older.
Okay, it's old but effective. The facts of these fires are bad enough, but clearly these images are really stirring reaction. Is there one type of image that seems more effective than others?
I mean, obviously these really dramatic photos of fires are compelling, but people are also throwing in images of animals. Most of the time, these aren't actually related to the fires at all. There's one I found of a monkey. It's really compelling, but it's from India as early as 2016 and has nothing to do with the fires at all. I found an interview with the photographer who did mention that the baby monkey was okay.
This is really tricky because You know, I can imagine people at home saying, what does it really matter? Is the fire burning any differently now than it was in 2016? The urgency is real. It is a global catastrophe. So what are the consequences of the imagery not being real?
And obviously these images are causing people to pay attention, which is arguably a really good thing. The problem is that when you're sharing fake images or false information, it gives ammunition to people who want to undercut or downplay the significance of these fires. So President Bolsonaro, for example, has already tried to deflect blame. He's tried to act like it's not as big of a deal as it is. So if he's able to point to all the posts on social media and say these images aren't real, and he's right, that's just giving him more ammunition to try to undercut this story.
Okay, Kayleigh, thanks very much.
Thank you.